Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 Wii Ware review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Vampire Crystals, which if you've never played it before, it's a twin stick shooter. It's a game that's probably going to be very underrated and underappreciated because at a time when Nintendo's releasing a Wii that doesn't have internet capabilities and the Wii U, which doesn't exactly scream out to first time console owners that there's a second shop other than the eShop. So it's one of those. It's a shame it came out so late in the lifespan because I bet you there's very few people even find out about it. But as long as you're watching this vid, spread the word because it is a fantastic title for only 1,000 points. It's one of the better WiiWare games I've ever played. It's a shame it's, as I say, it came out at the end of the lifespan. Anyway, at the start you get a bit of story which you can skip. You've then got the story mode, the cooperative mode, the multiplayer mode. You've got the options which you can literally change the music, the sound effect volume and change the language. You can then go to this over here which is basically high scores, but it appears to be just local, not that I ever really care about having online leaderboards. Story mode. When you go in, you create a character and you can choose your camera angle, one of 3 camera angles, and once you create a character you can go on and you go through the game. Cooperative mode, you don't create characters, it's up to 4 player. One of the weird things is when you choose to play 2 player, is you actually get 8 characters to choose from, whereas you only get 4 characters to choose from on 1 player. So I'm just going to very quickly cycle through them, and it's clever how it does it because basically you can't have 2 players be purple. So I've chose the purple guy there, my brother couldn't choose the purple girl, he'll have to choose blue, red or yellow, and obviously therefore in a party of 4 you each get different colours, so it makes it easier to navigate. From there though, you then get the world map and your save data is different. It doesn't carry over, which is what I mean, it's a bit odd. So you could beat the game all the way through in co-op, but that doesn't mean you beat it in single player. There's 15 levels and 3 bosses, so 18 levels overall. Basically it's like every 5 levels you get a 6th level with a boss on it, and I will show a boss off. The whole point is, though, it is a twin stick shooter. You can play it with a Wii remote and nunchuck and point to aim, but I actually think it feels very slack. Every now and then there are games that, even though I like pointer controls for shooters, there are games that it just feels slack on, and this is one of them. But it's one of those, as long as you've got a classic controller or a couple of classic controllers for multiplayer, because there's probably going to be a couple of people in your party who only want to use a classic, there may be a couple who only want to use the Wii remote, you know, then it's one of those you should be fine. Because, as I've already probably mentioned about 5 times, but I am making a big play of mentioning that it's 4 player, is because it's very... I mean, before I got it, I just couldn't find out if it was 4 player. Before it was released on the EU shop, I couldn't find video footage of someone showing it. It's why I'm gutted I can't show it myself, because I don't have another 2 people with me. But anyway, it is a twin stick shooter. There's power-ups all over the place. The power-ups are numbers. Depending on which number you collect depends on what you get. The swords are like a bit of a shield. You've got a very strict timer, and time power-ups that give you more time appear randomly. And some people have complained that that can make the game a bit too hard. Personally, I think the game is just hard, and therefore it's great. Because there's things like the final level where you get such a small time limit, and if the time doesn't randomly appear right and you don't collect it, then you're a bit screwed. But it's got a nice variety of power-ups and power-downs as well. There's a black potion vial thing that gives you weird controls. Not so much reverse controls, just weird. There'll be times like when I could only move down no matter what direction I was pushing. And as you might have also noticed, there's health to collect. Basically, you've got heart limits in the top left and top right currently, because we're on 2 player. And you don't actually start with full health, and it's one of those you don't always lose a full heart from getting hit. But you want to be on the lookout for health pretty much constantly, because especially as the game goes on, it seems the randomness of the health gets rarer and rarer. You also might have noticed that we're now collecting diamonds. That's because there are actually 3 strict rules to each level. First up, the level must be completed in the time, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Second up, there is a number of zombies that you have to kill, and skeletons and creatures basically that you just have to kill. Currently it's 200 on this level, and then there's also a number of crystals. Now, you might notice on the first level there were no crystals. It is one of those things that not every level will have everything, but you have to collect a number of crystals as well as, so For example, 350 crystals here. If all we did was concentrate on the crystals, we still wouldn't complete the mission. You have to do the both of them. And it can therefore mean that you might want to focus on just getting the crystals and then focus on the enemies, or vice versa. But the enemies are never ending, so just because you've met your limit doesn't mean they're going to stop. Boss wise, well, I'm probably best off cutting into a boss to explain it, so I'll do that now. So here we go on a boss level. There's no kill limit, there's no crystal limit, there is still a time limit, and the whole point is we just have to wail on the boss, which he has an energy limit in the bottom middle of the screen. And it's one of those, the bosses are definitely much harder than the regular levels because you do just constantly get pounded by the enemies. On co-op, if one of you goes down, there doesn't seem to be a life limit or anything. It seems to be an infinite amount of times you can come back, but you have to wait, and there's no specific timer or anything I've noticed. So, for example, if I was to go down now, as long as my brother survived for around about 40 seconds, it seems I'd come back with a little bit of health. I've just collected that vial just to show you, and I'm not pushing this direction at all. There's also, you might have saw us collect some meat, and I chucked that out, and basically it's like a decoy. The skeletons were attacking the meat there. It's it's very well designed, I must admit. This game is just like very well designed overall. The controls are tight when you're using the classic. The gameplay, I think, is proper classic twin stick 4-player co-op-y type shootery. It's very hard to say because it's one of those things that there's so many of this genre. It's one of those that people will always be after different things from it, but it personally ticks all of my boxes. It's a rock hard game with quite a lot to do. Gameplay wise, I doubt you'll be able to beat the majority of levels on your first go. It's one of those that you'll have to go again and again, and sometimes you will really need to play a co-op, I think. I'd imagine it's the type of thing that with enough practice you'll be able to beat it one player, but you'll probably need a bit of luck because, as I say, the time power-ups do tend to be random. So it does mean you want to be moving around the map quite a lot when you've got the larger maps, because you don't get a full view of the stage, so you'll want to be constantly on the move to look around for when energy spawned, when power-ups are spawned, when time spawned and that. The only thing I haven't really mentioned or shown yet, first off, I haven't done any music, which I will do in a few seconds, and I haven't mentioned the other multiplayer modes, because as well as single player and co-op, there are some actually competitive multiplayer modes. So let's just go on to that, and I'll mention those and then end with a bit of the music. So, multiplayer modes, again, up to 4 people. You've got deathmatch, which is eliminate your opponents. It's boring, if I'm honest, because you've got the same setup of how much energy and all that you've got, and it's basically whoever gets power-ups and the shields and that, you just have to keep pounding on them, and I just don't think it works very well. Survival's a much better mode. The whole point is it's the last man standing wins, so that is, I quite like that as a competitive mode, and it's the one I'm probably going to show, because time attack, the whole point is you've got a timer, and basically you have to collect more crystals than your opponent. So just trying to think. I don't think I've shown the purple girl off yet, and I definitely haven't shown the red girl off. And I'll just do a bit of the music while showing this off. The one thing I suppose I can mention while it's loading, because there's also different, when you go out in the multiplayer, you've got basically some stages to choose from, and it doesn't matter if you've unlocked them or not, and you've got stages that are nighttime and daytime. So for example, you've seen World 1 already, this is World 1 night. It doesn't really make any difference, it's just darker. As you go through the game, you get loads of different enemy types that they're getting introduced quite a bit. It's one of those, it keeps it fresh. There's also, the one thing that I did really want to mention is the controls are odd. I mean, it's a twin stick shooter at the end of the day, so you've got 1 moves, 1 fires, and that's perfect. But then you've got A is pause the game, ZR and ZL and that is exit. When you feel and you're told to continue the game, you push select, not start. It's just, it seems a bit weird, considering how many times start is always pause the game and start is continue. And I could understand if they made pause a different button to continue, but pause and continue, neither of them are start. So it's just a bit weird. Anyway, seeing as I died before doing the music, I'll show the time attack off for the music. So there we go, that was a little bit of the music. Personally, I quite like the music of the game, and I think graphically it looks rather cool too. And as you might have noticed, I'm also on deathmatch here. I thought at least it gets it shown off, you know. But that really is everything I can think to mention about the game. For 1,000 points, it's a fantastic title. I believe there's a demo in the States, but the one didn't come out for the EU shop, so it's one of those, I can't exactly say to everyone, try the demo, but if one does come out, it's well worth trying, because I think it's a fantastic little title. So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games, because that's based purely on opinion, so instead, I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.